Paloma heard the voice before she saw the house. Stop the tantrum. Wait until your father sees what kind of girl you are. A door slammed somewhere upstairs. A child's crying scraped the hall like a torn violin string. Paloma paused with her tote still biting her shoulder, the scent of lemon cleaner and last night's coffee clinging to the tile. ¿Qué situación? Carmen whispered at the back door, eyes tired but kind. La patrona doña Verónica otra vez. More crying, a tiny body running out of breath. Paloma climbed the staircase anyway. In the hallway, a blonde woman with a flawless blowout stepped out of her room and shut the door hard enough to rattle the frames. She smoothed the strand behind her ear, as if the noise had nothing to do with her pulse. You must be the new housekeeper. Veronica's smile didn't touch her eyes. I have to go. The child is dramatic today. Start once she stops. The crying didn't stop. Paloma knocked softly. Hola, chiquita. May I come in? No one will scold you? Silence thinned, then a hiccup. Paloma eased the door open. A little girl brown hair in a lopsided ponytail, cheeks wet and shiny, sat on the floor, clutching her own legs. The air was stale with dust and old soap. The girl's gaze snagged on Paloma like a hook. What's your name, Corazon? Camila. The voice was small, brave. Camila. Que lindo. Paloma crouched, the marble biting her knees. What hurts? Camila touched her belly. Me duele. Hungry? Paloma asked. Camila nodded. Paloma checked the clock on the dresser, past one. Did you have breakfast? Camila shook her head. Se olvidó. Of course she did. Paloma offered her hand. Come, let's fix that. They went down to the echoing kitchen. Paloma fried eggs, toasted bread, poured juice. Camila sat on a stool, legs swinging, watching everything closely, counting slices, naming colors in the spice rack with careful pride. When she ate, relief softened her face. Paloma buena, Camila murmured, mouth full. Veronica. Mala. Something in Paloma's chest folded in on itself. Veronica is wrong about you. You're bright and brave. Camila held Paloma's gaze for the first time. Trust looked like a doorway opening. The front door clicked. Footsteps. Perfume sharp and floral cut through the kitchen like a blade. Veronica appeared, expression bright when she saw Paloma, then souring at the empty plate. She ate? Veronica's tone was surprise, pretending to be concerned. She was hungry, Paloma said, gentle but steady. I made lunch. Next time ask. She has a schedule. If she eats off schedule, she won't want dinner. Veronica crouched to Camila's eye level, voice sweet and poisonous. Verdad, corazón? You know we wait. Camila's shoulders hunched. When Veronica left the room, she whispered to Paloma. Ella lastima. Paloma didn't ask how. Not yet. She just held the child's gaze. If someone hurts you, you can tell me. Always. Veronica dijo que no. Camila's eyes flicked toward the stairs, frightened already. Your papi won't give you away, Paloma said. He loves you. Me ama. It sounded like a wish. Yes, Paloma said, and wished the father were the one saying it. Later, Veronica called somebody Amor on the phone and listed imaginary things Camila had done that day. Ate well, played, was precious. Paloma listened to the lies and the laugh. Outside, the jacarandas dropped purple blossoms like confetti that no one felt like celebrating. That night, walking home, Paloma folded a small drawing Camila had made, stick figures, with a big yellow-haired woman towering over a little girl who cried on the floor. She didn't like evidence. She preferred safety, but sometimes the world demanded both. The next morning, Camila sat at the staircase in pajamas, hair unbrushed, lower lip chapped from being chewed. Why aren't you dressed? Paloma asked. Veronica no ayudó, she said. Está en teléfono. Out in the garden, Veronica's voice drifted in. Mamá, no aguanto. When I look at her, I remember he was someone else's father first. And when I lost my baby and she's here, living, taking the space that should have been my child's. Veronica laughed thin, brittle. At least the new maid is making the girl smarter. Alejandro will notice I don't take care of her. Camila tugged Paloma's sleeve. Huevito, listo. Ya casi, mi vida. Paloma whisked, poured, slid the eggs onto a plate, mind cold and clear. She had seen people like Veronica when she was young. Neglect masked as discipline. Cruelty rationalized as structure. Fear dressed up as love. As days collected, patterns sharpened, Veronica's voice turning hard as glass over spilled milk. Camilla flinching before she even touched a toy. A door locked from the outside after the girl asked why her father never talked to her. Paloma taught anyway. Colors, numbers, tying laces, please and thank you in English. The little girl's face woke up, words braided into sentences. Pride sat with her at the table. One afternoon, Alejandro came home early and stopped in the doorway, briefcase in hand, stunned as Camila counted to 20 and tied her shoes with her tongue peeking out the corner of her mouth. "Where did you learn that?" he asked softly. "Paloma enseñó," Camila said, almost proud, almost afraid. "She's very smart," Paloma said. "She just needs someone to notice." From the kitchen, Veronica watched, jaw tight, eyes calculating. That night, Paloma lay awake hearing the house in her head. The hum of the big fridge, the click of expensive heels on tile, the small sound Camilla made when she stopped herself from crying because Papi no le gustan las niñas lloronas. She knew what was coming next. People like Veronica never sat with discomfort. They made someone else hold it for them. It happened on a Wednesday. Veronica asked Paloma to deep clean the kitchen. The lemon rags were where they always were. Paloma pulled one out, and a gold bracelet tripped into the light with a soft metallic gasp. "Que extraño," Paloma said out loud, because the room demanded the witness of words. "Camilla?" Veronica called right on cue. "Ven." The little girl came running. "I caught her," Veronica announced, voice ringing with triumph. "Stealing. My bracelet." "I found it in the rag," Paloma said. Her hand stayed open and low, palms up. "It fell." "How did it end up in the rag?" Veronica asked, too smooth. "Unless you put it there?" Camilla looked from one face to the other, trying to hold two truths and being told only one was allowed. "Camilla," Veronica said, sugar hard. "Did Paloma have my bracelet?" Camilla nodded, her mouth trembling. "Paloma con pulsera." "Take your things and go," Veronica said. "Señora, por favor. Ladronas don't stay in my home." Paloma looked at Camilla, not at Veronica. "You know me," she said softly. "You know I wouldn't take anything." Camilla saw the fear in the truth, and the secret Veronica had made her keep tangled up in her throat. "You no sé," she whispered, and then she cried like something had torn. Paloma left with a tote and a heartbeat that wouldn't slow. Outside, exhaust and dust and sun pressed down. She swallowed hard. She would not cry where anyone could see. Alejandro came home to a strangely quiet house and a story that didn't line up. A bracelet in a rag. A child who had watched but had not seen. He looked at the girl's face when he asked her what she'd witnessed. "Parecía robando?" he asked. Camilla stared at her shoes. "Parecía asustada." The next morning, Alejandro parked 2 streets away and came in through the back. He found Camila alone on the couch, hands in her lap, toys lined up untouched on the rug. "Why aren't you playing, princesa?" "No quiero," she said. Then she looked at Veronica and back at him. "Estoy triste." "Why?" He kept his voice easy. "Dime." "Extraño a Paloma," she said. "Paloma was bad," Veronica said too fast. "She stole." "No," Camilla said, panic threading her voice. She looked at the rag drawer. She looked at Veronica. Truth climbed up her throat. "Veronica puso pulsera en trapo," she blurted. Silence emptied the room. "What did you say?" Alejandro asked carefully. "She put it there. Dijo que era secreto," Camila whispered. "Camila inventa cosas," Veronica snapped. "Tiene síndrome de Down. She distorts." "I don't," Camila said, tears now. No me gusta mentir. Vete a tu cuarto, princesa, Alejandro said gently. Un minuto. When she ran, he turned to Veronica, and his face was something she had never seen. Did you plant it? He asked. I suspected, she began. Did you plant it? The question burned. She exhaled. I needed to be sure, she said, and tried to make her voice reasonable. She was turning Camilla against me. She was making you doubt me. You destroyed the reputation of a decent woman to control a child, he said. I'm going to find Paloma and apologize. If she never comes back, we'll deserve it. If you bring her back, Veronica said, I'll leave. Then leave, he said. She blinked as if slapped. Are you choosing a maid over your wife? I'm choosing what's right, he said. He took his keys and he was gone. He found Paloma selling lunches from a folding table by a warehouse grilled chicken, rice, tortillas wrapped in a towel to keep warm. Her hands were steady, her eyes were not. I came to ask forgiveness, he said. Not mine to give, Paloma said, almost smiling. It belongs to a little girl. She told me the truth. Will you come home? He asked. For her. For her, Paloma said. But if Veronica touches me again with her words, I go. She's packing her bags, he said. They returned to a house that smelled like furniture polish and fear. Camilla came downstairs slow, then faster, then flying. Paloma, she screamed joy this time. She hit Paloma's chest with all the force a small body has when it's been holding itself back for too long. For sempre, Paloma said into the child's hair. Veronica wheeled a suitcase down the hall. Her face was made and empty. She told Alejandro he'd regret it, that no woman would ever want a man with a problem child, that love would not be enough. She told Camilla to say goodbye. Camilla stared and said, calm as a blade, Vete y no regreses? The truth knew how to speak now. For a handful of days, the world felt easy. Breakfast tasted like oranges and hot bread. Camilla said mommy once under her breath, and then louder the next time, tasting the shape of the word. Alejandro started turning his computer off at 5. The house exhaled. Then the social worker called. A complaint had been filed, negligence, an unqualified employee caring for a special needs child, risk of harm, and urgent home visit. The caller identified herself as Camilla's stepmother. Fear snapped the room taut. Paloma looked down at her own hands, raw from bleach, ringless. They'll say I'm no one, she said quietly, just the maid with no certification. We can explain you have experience, Alejandro said, that she loves you. They'll say love isn't a credential, Paloma said, and they won't be wrong. The visit went as well as such visits can. Tidy rooms, a child engaged and curious, blocks sorted by color, a social worker with a careful smile and a pen that did not miss much. Alejandro lied for the first time in a long time, introduced the worker as Tia Monica to satisfy a question in front of Camilla, and spent the rest of the day hating the taste of it. After they left, he called a lawyer. The options were ugly or honest or both. Hire a credentialed caregiver and risk losing Camilla's trust. Enroll her in full-day programs and trade love for coverage, or marry the woman who already was a mother in everything but legal name. Alejandro found Paloma at the sink, sleeves rolled, humming. The kitchen smelled like cilantro and warm tortillas. He watched her rinse a plate until the water went clear. I don't want to make you feel cornered, he said, but I need to say what's true. Say it, she said, not turning. I love you, he said. I love you when you're teaching her to tie her shoes and when you sing the wrong words to her songs. I love you when you stand between her and the world. I love you in this kitchen with your hands in soap. And I want to marry you, not just because a judge might like it, because I can't imagine this house without you. Paloma set the plate down. Her hands shook. I loved you quietly, she said, because you were married and then because gratitude can look too much like love. But it isn't gratitude. It's you. It's Camilla. It's how my chest feels when she says mommy and means me. They married at the registry the next morning. Two witnesses, a black pen, a photograph in bad lighting that Paloma secretly loved. When they came home, Camilla asked what esposa meant. Paloma told her it meant family. Camilla asked if she could say mommy. Paloma said if you want. Camilla said I want. The house held that word like a candle cupped in a hand. The social worker returned again, more skeptical this time, and left with softer eyes. Strategic, perhaps, she said to her notes, but the result is a child who is safe, thriving, and loved. The file eventually would be closed. On a Thursday, Veronica came back with a lawyer and a smile that showed too many teeth. She asked for visitation as a former stepmother. She had photos, school meetings, receipts, pediatric appointment printouts, evidence she had collected, curated, performed with. The law, as written, could be stretched to fit her shape. In the kitchen, Paloma asked for 5 minutes alone with Veronica. Alejandro left his phone recording on the counter and stepped into the hallway. "Why are you here?" Paloma asked when the door clicked. "Rights," Veronica said. "I was her mother for 2 years." "No," Paloma said. "You were a woman who lived in the same house. You told a child she was a burden. You starved love out of rooms and called it discipline. Do you remember saying you wished she died with her mother?" "I do." Veronica's laugh was small. "I lost a baby. I looked at her and saw the hole in my life wearing someone else's face." "And so you hurt her," Paloma said. "Tell the truth once in your life." Something in Veronica sagged at the edges. She stared at the counter. She spoke, not to Paloma, but to the air. "I hated having to pretend," she said softly. "I hated her laughter because it asked something from me I did not have. I told her she ruined my chance to be a mother. I told her Alejandro would never love me because of her. I was cruel. Is that the honest enough you wanted?" Paloma didn't answer. She didn't gloat. The recording on the counter held the words like water holds the moon. When the men came back in, Alejandro pressed play. Veronica went still. Her lawyer looked like he'd bitten into a lemon rind. "You can sign a renunciation," Alejandro said calmly, "or we can let a judge hear this." Pride took a long breath and then lay down quietly. Veronica signed. After that, life did not turn into a postcard. Trauma doesn't leave on command. Camilla had nights where shadows were too big, afternoons where she checked to make sure Paloma hadn't gone. Paloma would kneel and tell her the truth again. "I chose you." Camilla would whisper back, "Yo también te escojo," for always. At school, she raised a hand more. On the playground, she learned to say no. The pediatrician wrote exceptional progress in careful handwriting and smiled at the trio in the exam room. At home, mornings smelled like coffee and toasted bolillo. On Saturdays, Alejandro let Camilla help wash the car, and they would both come inside damp and laughing, and Paloma would pretend to be annoyed and hand them towels. One night on the terrace, with the city light flickering like a far-off tide, Alejandro asked Paloma if she ever felt like she was stealing the memory of the woman who came before. "Isabella was Camilla's first mother," Paloma said. "I can't take that. I don't want to. I'm the mother who is here now, and if love is big enough, it can hold more than one truth at once." A festival at school asked kids to draw their families. Camilla drew 3 figures holding hands. The hands were big, lopsided, careful. Underneath, in letters that leaned into each other like friends on a bench, she wrote, "Mi familia que me ama." On the way home, she told them a secret that she was the happiest girl in class. "Somos ricos," she added, serious, "en amor." That night, after the dishes and after Camilla fell asleep with one hand still curled around her crayon box, Paloma stood by the doorway and watched the rise and fall of a small back. Alejandro slid an arm around her waist. The air smelled faintly of soap and crayons and something sweet cooling in the kitchen. "Do you regret anything?" he asked. "Only the years she was afraid," Paloma said. "But they brought us here." Inside the child's room, on the nightstand, the drawing waited, edges curling a little, waxy lines shining when the streetlight found them. 3 figures holding hands, 3 smiles. the sentence beneath it a promise and a proof. Some stories end with a door slamming. This one ended with a door that stayed open, a light that stayed on, a hand that reached and found another, even in the dark, and a small voice in sleep, practicing a word that would never be taken from her again. Mommy.